Today's lesson is called The South Island of New Zealand in Spring, From Tip to Toe. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and today we're going to talk about New Zealand. Maybe you've heard of this place. It's one of those countries down under. It is a popular tourist destination, and I think they did quite a good job in keeping COVID-19 out of there. And hopefully these things are getting cleared up, and we can think about traveling and going to the South Island of New Zealand in the spring.
In the spring. Interesting. Right now, it's October, and that means it's autumn or fall. So is this a typo here? Are we going to visit New Zealand in the spring or right now during the fall? Well, it turns out that this is not a typo. Okay, remember, we here in Taiwan are in the northern hemisphere. So when it's fall here, it's going to be the opposite season there in the southern hemisphere, which is where New Zealand is located. So when it's spring here, it's autumn there. When it's summer here, it's winter there, and vice versa. So right now, yes, it is in fact fall in Taiwan, but it's spring there in New Zealand. How interesting is that? Anyways, today we're talking about New Zealand. And we're talking specifically about the South Island of New Zealand. And we are going to be doing it all. We are going to be exploring from tip to toe. All right, folks, with that, it is time for us to take a short break. But don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
The South Island of New Zealand in spring, from tip to toe. The South Island of New Zealand is well known for its beautiful natural scenery, and the season for seeing the best of it is spring, when crisp, sunny days give way to cooler evenings. It has 10 national parks and an enormous mountain range that extends for 500 kilometers from the north to the south. Here are some of the South Island's unique sights and activities to experience in spring.
大家好。第一部分我们看到形容词 crisp 指天气凉爽干燥的，像是 You don't need anything more than a light jacket on this crisp day 这个凉爽的日子里你只需要一件薄外套。另外除了上面的意思，这个字还有以下几种意思。第一，指空气清新的，我们可以说 My favorite thing about fall is the way that the crisp air smells 关于秋天我最喜欢的是清新的空气气味。第二，指脆的酥脆的，例如 These potato chips are crisp and not too salty 这些薯片很脆也不会太咸。第三，指清晰的干脆利落的，举例来说 She gave a very crisp response to his difficult question 她对他难解的问题提供了非常干脆利落的回应。再来我们看到片语 give way to 加名词，表示被点点点取代，对点点点让步，像是My excitement gave way to fear when I found I was left alone in the theme park. 我发现自己在主题乐园中落单时，兴奋被恐惧取代了。或是 After 10 minutes of arguing, Peter eventually gave way to his wife's wishes. 经过10分钟的争吵 Peter 终于让步顺从太太的意思。另外，除了上面的意思，这个片语还可以表示让路给点点点。例如The city's traffic laws state that cars must give way to pedestrians in all downtown areas. 这座城市的交通法规声明在所有市中心区域，汽车必须让路给行人。
Okay, everybody, as you know, New Zealand has two main islands, North Island and South Island. And North Island, I believe, is where the big cities are of Auckland and Wellington. And South Island, of course, has lots of natural attractions there, national parks and natural scenery and stuff like that. The North Island has those things too, but if you're really into the outdoors, then you might want to consider going to the South Island Island of New Zealand in spring when the weather is nice. Maybe if you like skiing or something, you can go there in the winter, or at least their winter, which would be our summer, of course. But we're exploring the place from tip to toe, from top to bottom.
There you go. The South Island of New Zealand is well known for its beautiful natural scenery, and the season for seeing the best of it is spring, when crisp, sunny days give way to cooler evenings. This sounds great to me, okay? I love a nice sunny day, but I don't want it to be hot all the time. During the evening there, I want things to cool down. Yeah, I can't actually sleep that well when it's hot outside. It's got to be cold or cool at least, so this sounds good to me. New Zealand is far away, but I've heard really good things about New Zealand. It's a beautiful place, and apparently there, spring in New Zealand, on the South Island especially, is awesome, or at least it sounds awesome to me. Anyways, we've got three things that we need to talk about in this sentence. First of all, we have this word scenery. First, when we're talking about scenery, we're talking about beautiful views that you can see usually out there in nature. Yes, and New Zealand, it says, is chock full of beautiful natural scenery. So you can go out there in nature and you can see some majestic views, some fantastic landscapes. Now notice, you can say view or views. You can say a landscape or landscapes. You cannot say sceneries, though. That's the second point, okay? The first point there, I gave you the definition of the word scenery. The second point is this word is non-count. Stick to scenery. The word sceneries just doesn't exist.
It doesn't, and this is a non-count noun, so you would use this word to describe Taiwan. There's some really great scenery in the Central Mountain Range, for example. And in New Zealand, of course, they've got some great natural scenery there as well. It's known for that. It's famous for its natural scenery. And the season for seeing the best of it is spring, when crisp, sunny days give way to cooler evenings. So crisp, that could refer to potato chips or crisps or whatever, or kind of foods like that that kind of make a sound when you eat them. They're kind of crunchy, they're kind of crispy. There's a lot of, deep fried food that you can buy in night markets that's quite crispy. But crisp here does refer to weather that's kind of cold, kind of chilly. So yes, you do have crisp, sunny days, which means they're a little cold, a little chilly, but they give way to cooler evenings. So it's not so hot or it's not so cold. So if something gives way to something, that means it kind of steps out of the way and lets something else come in. You could say the same thing about the weather here in Taiwan. The cool spring gives way to the really hot summer in June.
Anyways, more on the South Island of New Zealand and some of the beautiful natural scenery to be had there. Get this, it has 10 national parks and an enormous mountain range that extends for 500 kilometers from the north to the south. How about that? So you might think, the South Island of New Zealand, I'm sure it's nice. How nice can it be? Well, there are 10 national parks. They are pristine and gorgeous and great. And then also you have this gigantic, enormous mountain range that goes from the north of the island to the south of the island. It extends, apparently, for 500 kilometers.
Now, we're used to really nice national parks here in Taiwan. There are quite a few of them, but there are more of them in New Zealand, and there's this really long mountain range. So you've got various peaks in this range. Like here in Taiwan, of course, you've got the Central Mountain Range, etc. In North America, you've got the Rocky Mountain Range, etc. So in New Zealand, of course, this mountain range goes on for 500 kilometers. So extend here just means it keeps going and going and going. Yeah, it's a long mountain range. If you want to hike the entire mountain range, it's going to take you several days, if not several weeks or months. And it extends from the north to the south, or from the south to the north. It depends on which way you're going.
This is how far it goes. This is how far it spreads. so to speak. Anyways, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Here are some of the South Island's unique sights and activities to experience in spring, and we'll start reading about these right after a short break.
At the northern tip of the island are the Marlborough Sounds. A network of ancient islands and sunken valleys, this region is popular for its sheltered harbors, sandy beaches, and clear waters. You can go on a boat tour and get up close with friendly bottlenose dolphins, or see dusky dolphins as they leap and tumble in the air. If you're lucky, you might even catch sight of some rare Hector's dolphins, which have fins shaped like Mickey Mouse ears.
第二部分我们看到单字 sunken， 这个字是形容词，指沉没的、沉入海底的、凹陷的。例如 The children pretended they were searching for sunken treasure while they were swimming at the beach. 孩子们在海边游泳时，假装在寻找沉入海中的宝藏。另外补充一个相关单字 submerge， S-U-B-M-E-R-G-E， submerge 这个字是动词，指沉入水中、浸没、淹没。我们可以说 Judith submerged herself in the tub's warm water. Judith 泡在浴缸温水里。接着我们看到形容词 dusky， 指暗淡的、昏暗的，像是 It's hard to see things clearly under the dusky light inside the bar. 在这间酒吧昏暗的灯光下，很难把东西看清楚。另外，这个字的字尾去掉 y， 就成了名词 dusk， 指黄昏、暮色。举例来说The farmer works in his field every day until dusk. 该农夫每天在田里工作到黄昏。
Okay, let's talk about South Island, or the South Island of New Zealand, from tip to toe, or from top to bottom, or from the north to the south. So at the northern tip of the island are the Marlborough Sounds. Okay, a sound here is a physical feature. I believe it's a long, narrow body of water between areas of land, or a long stretch of water that connects two larger bodies of water.
Anyways, more on the Marlborough Sounds. A network of ancient islands and sunken valleys, this region is popular for its sheltered harbors, sandy beaches, and clear waters. So we're at the northern tip of the South Island. And yes, we're exploring this region, this area. Now, what is this region popular for? Apparently, there are sheltered harbors, sandy beaches, and then clear water. So maybe you can take a swim, but if it's too cold, the water's too cold there, maybe you can go on a boat ride. But before we talk about those things, those possibilities, we've got two vocabulary words to cover. The first of these is the word sheltered, okay? If something is sheltered, it's protected, usually by some form of shelter. Now, what's being sheltered here? A harbor. A harbor is kind of like a parking lot for boats. That's where ships come in and they park. They moor. Yeah, you don't actually park a boat. You kind of tie it up, and when you do so, you moor that boat. And yes, you can moor your boat at a harbor.
Yeah, in Taiwan, of course, there are two main harbors, Keelung Harbor and Kaohsiung Harbor. And in this particular case, though, there are lots of sheltered harbors. They're kind of away from the ocean, so if you go there, you can be protected from storms and stuff like that. Sheltered could also refer to someone who is overprotected by their parents. They don't let them go out too much. They don't have a lot of experience in the world. She's very sheltered. She doesn't really know about life, but here it's a sheltered harbor. So yes, there are probably some great shots for you there, some wonderful scenery. And if you like beaches, there are sandy beaches there. And clear waters if you like snorkeling or scuba diving. And you can go on a boat tour and get up close with friendly bottlenose dolphins, or see dusky dolphins as they leap and tumble in the air. And if you're lucky, you might even catch sight of some rare Hector's dolphins. So, gee, you can see all sorts of different species of dolphins here. You can see these dolphins up close, which means you're very close to them. You don't need binoculars to see them. You can be right there on top of them. You can see them with your naked eyes. And yes, you can get up close with those bottlenose dolphins. You've also got dusky dolphins and Hector's dolphins.
There you go. And it says here that Hector's dolphins have a very interesting feature. It says here that Hector's dolphins have fins shaped like Mickey Mouse ears. Interesting. Now, here, when I think of a fin, I think of a flipper, kind of like a hand or maybe a foot or a tail for a fish or a dolphin or something like that. With these fins, dolphins can swim and get through the water. Yeah, fins, they usually look flat and they look like oars, and they make these dolphins and fish really good swimmers. Yeah, dolphins and fish and stuff like that can swim really, really well because of their fins. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a short break, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up the first portion of our lesson on New Zealand's South Island.
Next, head south to Lake Tekapo, which is located at the center of the South Island. Minerals in the water give this lake a beautiful blue-green color. Popular springtime activities there include mountain biking, horseback riding, and stargazing.
最后第三部分，我们看到一个单字 mineral， 这个字是名词，指矿物质、矿物，像是 The cereal is packed with minerals， 这种早餐麦片富含矿物质，或是 The mountains here are said to be rich in minerals， 据说这里的山里富含矿产。
Okay, let's continue exploring the South Island of New Zealand. We're going from tip to toe, from top to bottom. So we started up in the north there with the Marlborough Sounds and some places where you can get up close and personal with dolphins. Next, head south to Lake Tekapo, which is located at the center of the South Island. So yes, if you like oceans, of course, you can see the ocean in New Zealand and explore those sheltered harbors and those sandy beaches. But hey, you might like to swim in a lake too. Lakes have natural water and not salt water. So yes, you can go to Lake Tekapo in the center of the South Island. Now, this lake is very special because minerals in the water give this lake a beautiful blue-green color. You're going to have some wonderful photo opportunities there because of that wonderful color there. We've got different minerals in the water, okay? Minerals are things in nature, usually from rocks. They're a solid inorganic substance, and they could include all sorts of stuff, various minerals like rocks and minerals like iron or even sulfur or whatever. Those are all different kinds of minerals.
Yeah, usually when people are talking about minerals, they're talking about inorganic things that we consume and which are good for us. But here they're talking about, like what Roger was saying earlier, sulfur, rocks, and other substances like that that might change the color of a body of water. It says here that minerals in the water give this lake a beautiful blue-green color. So there you go. These rocks, these substances, these minerals have colored the water here in a beautiful way.
Okay, so if you go to Lake Tekapo, there are lots of popular springtime activities there. So these popular springtime activities include mountain biking, horseback riding, and stargazing. Of course, there are horses here in Taiwan, but if you've never ridden a horse before and you happen to be in this part of New Zealand, it's a great chance to try it. I don't personally like horseback riding. When I went horseback riding when I was a kid, I was scared to death, and I'm never going to do it again. And that's why I prefer mountain biking, because you can control your mountain bike. That means you just ride a bicycle that is specially designed for mountain trails to go over rocks and logs, and it can be a lot of fun.
I've also noticed here that we've had the ocean there, the Marlborough Sounds, and then also this lake, and no one's going swimming. I guess maybe the water is dangerous or too cold or something like that, but you know what? I like swimming in cold water, so maybe if I go to New Zealand, I will take the plunge and take a swim there as well. Anyways, with that, folks, it's time for us to take a break. But don't worry, the Chinese teacher is waiting in the wings.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始写到 The South Island of New Zealand is well known for its beautiful natural scenery. 好，纽西兰南岛以美丽的自然景色著称。好，这边用到 be well known for something 就是表达以什么而闻名，以什么而著称。那么其他类似的用法还有 be famous for, be famed for, be noted for, be renowned for, be celebrated for 等等。那么其中的 renowned, R-E-N-O-W-N-E-D 和 celebrated 都是用来形容著名的、知名的。然后这些用法的介系词 for 后面都可以接名词或动名词。例如 The city is famed for its beautiful beaches. 那个城市以美丽的海滩而闻名。好，那么相反的我们可以用 be infamous for 或者是 be notorious for 再加名词或动名词来表达说因为什么而声名狼藉、恶名昭彰。那么其中的 infamous 就是在 famous 前面加上否定字首 in， 不过呢infamous 不是用来表达不有名、默默无名的哦，而是因为负面的事情而声名狼藉。那我们来拼一下 notorious 则是拼作 N-O-T-O-R-I-O-U-S。 好，我们来造个例句。 The restaurant is infamous for its terrible service. 那间餐厅因为服务太差而风评不佳。好，那顺便复习一下 known 的相关句型。我们知道 known 是动词 know 的过去分词，那它可以用来形容是已知的、知名的。那么第一个句型 be known for 就是说以什么样的特色、特质或是成就而闻名。像你可以说 The actor is known for playing villains. 那位演员他以饰演反派角色闻名。第二个句型 be known as 是表达以什么而为人所知或是被称作什么。那么as 后面接的名词呢，通常是个身份啊、名称、职业称号等等。举例来说，新竹 is known as the windy city. 大家都知道新竹被称为风城。好，第三个句型 be known to 加原形动词来表达说已知会做某事，以做某事而出名。例如 She is known to be a snob. 大家都知道她是个势利眼的人。好，那么课文第二部分介绍了马尔堡峡湾，他写到说幸运的话甚至可以在那边看到罕见的褐氏矮海豚。好，那么文中用到片语 catch sight of 加名词来表达突然看见什么、瞥见什么。那么 sight 在这边是当不可数名词，是指景象。那我们除了用 catch sight of也可以用 get a look at 加名词，或者是 catch a glimpse of 加名词来表达相同语义。好，其中的 glimpse G-L-I-M-P-S-E 它是个可数名词，可以表达一瞥、一眼的意思。好，例如 We caught sight of a pop singer in the restaurant. 我们在那间餐厅突然看见一位流行歌手。 The fans waited for hours at the airport to catch a glimpse of the K-pop star. 粉丝为了要看那位韩国明星啊，在机场等了好几个小时，就为了看那一眼。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Scenery. There is a lot of beautiful scenery to be found in Taiwan. Crisp. The crisp morning air made my walk in the park very enjoyable. Extend. The caves extend for 2 miles under the mountain. Shelter. The cave sheltered the travelers from the storm. Harbor. Before the storm, all of the boats returned to the safety of the harbor. Fin. The great white shark has a large fin on its back. Mineral. Our bodies need minerals, such as iron, in order to stay healthy.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.